The wind carried dust and memories across the broken valley. Kang Do-yeon stood at the edge of a massive crater, looking down at twisted metal that had fallen from the sky 300 years ago. The alien ship was half buried in the earth now, covered with moss and rust, but some parts still held their strange glow. He adjusted the bag on his shoulder and began his climb down. Do-yeon was 34 years old, with hands that knew both weapons and tools. He had served in the military for 10 years before becoming a scavenger. The old wrecks from the Accord days held technology that Earth still needed. Every piece he found helped his people grow stronger. The ship's hull was cold under his fingers. He found a gap in the metal and squeezed through, turning on his flashlight. Inside, the air smelled like oil and something sweet that he could not name. Alien ships always smelled different. He had been inside dozens of them, but the smell still made his heart beat faster. He moved through the dark corridors, stepping over fallen panels and broken wires. Most of this ship had been stripped long ago by other scavengers. But Do-yeon knew how to look deeper. He found a sealed door that others had missed, hidden behind a collapsed wall. It took him an hour to cut through, but when the door finally opened, he smiled. The room inside was small, but untouched. Screens lined the walls, dark and silent. Storage units sat in neat rows. And in the center, on a metal stand, sat a device that pulsed with soft blue light. Do-yeon approached it carefully. He had never seen anything like it. The device was round, about the size of his fist, and the light came from deep inside it. When he touched it, the light grew brighter. Numbers appeared in the air above it, floating like ghosts. He did not understand the alien language, but he recognized what this was: a beacon, a signal device. And it was still working. He grabbed it and ran. 3 hours later, Do-yeon sat in his sister's laboratory, watching her study the beacon. Kang Sora was 28, 6 years younger than him, but sometimes she made him feel like a child. She understood things he could never understand. While he had learned to fight and survive, she had learned to reach for the stars. "It has been transmitting for weeks," Sora said. Her eyes did not leave the screens in front of her. "Maybe longer. The signal is weak, but it is going out into space. Can you stop it?" Do-yeon asked. SOR shook her head. "I already tried. The power source is built into the device. If I break it, we lose everything inside." She turned to look at him. "But that is not the problem, brother." "What do you mean?" She pulled up a different screen. It showed a map of the solar system, with Earth at the center. A small dot was moving toward them from the outer edge. "Someone answered," Sora said. "A ship is coming." Do-yeon felt his blood go cold. For 300 years, Earth had been alone. The Galactic Accord had abandoned them during the Great Plague, sealed their system, erased their star maps. The aliens had expected humanity to die. But humanity did not die. They survived. They rebuilt. They grew strong in secret. And now, someone was coming to check on the grave. The remnant assembly met that night in the old bunker beneath the mountains. 12 leaders sat around a long table, their faces lit by soft screens. Do-yeon and Sora stood before them, explaining what they had found. "How long until the ship arrives?" asked Elder Mino, an old man with white hair and sharp eyes. 6 days, Sora answered. "It is moving slowly, probably scanning as it travels." "They do not know we are here," said another elder, a woman named Ji-won. "They think they are visiting a dead world." "Then we must make sure they continue to think that," Mino said. "We cannot let them see how far we have come. If the galaxy learns that Earth survived, that we have ships and weapons and technology they never expected, they will come for us. Or we could show them exactly what we are," Do-yeon said. The room went quiet. All eyes turned to him. For 300 years we have hidden, Do-Yun continued. We have built our strength in shadow, but we cannot hide forever. One day the galaxy will find us. I say we control that moment. Let me go to them. Let me be the face of Earth. I will learn what I can and decide what they should know. You want to board an alien ship alone? Ji-Wan asked. Not alone. I will need a pilot. And I will need the Silent Dawn. The Silent Dawn was Earth's greatest secret. A stealth ship built over 50 years, combining human engineering with every piece of alien technology they had ever found. It could fly unseen through space, faster and quieter than anything the old Accord had ever made. The elders argued for hours. Some wanted to hide. Some wanted to fight. But in the end, they agreed. Do-Yun would go. He would meet the aliens, pretend to be a simple survivor, and learn what had happened to the galaxy in 300 years. Sora walked him to the hangar the next morning. The Silent Dawn waited for them, sleek and dark, like a knife made of shadows. Be careful, Sora said. You are not just my brother now. You are the voice of 8 billion people. I know, Do-Yun said. He pulled her into a hug. Keep working on the old records. If there are more secrets about why they abandoned us, I need to know. I will find them, she promised. A woman in a pilot suit approached them. Her name was Yuna, and she had been flying ships since she was 16 years old. She was 31 now, with calm eyes and steady hands. The ship is ready, Yuna said. Are you? Da-Jun looked at the stars through the hangar's open roof. For 300 years, those stars had been a ceiling, trapping humanity on their small blue world. Now they were about to become a door. Yes, he said. Let us go remind the galaxy that Earth is still here. They boarded the Silent Dawn and launched into the darkness. Behind them, Earth grew smaller. Ahead, somewhere in the black void, an alien ship was waiting. The forgotten world was about to be remembered. The Silent Dawn moved through space like a ghost. No lights, no sound. Just the soft hum of engines that bent physics in ways Do-Yun did not fully understand. He sat in the passenger seat, watching the stars slide past the windows, while Yuna guided the ship with gentle touches on the controls. 4 hours until contact, Yuna said. Her voice was calm, as if they were flying to a market instead of meeting aliens for the first time in 3 centuries. Have you thought about what you will say? She asked. Do-Yun shook his head. I will let them speak first. People tell you more when they think they are in control. They are not people, Yuna reminded him. Everyone is the same when they think they have power, Do-Yun said. They get careless. They talk too much. I have seen it in soldiers, in politicians, in criminals. It will be the same with aliens. Yuna smiled slightly. You sound very confident for a man about to meet creatures from another world. I am not confident, Do-Yun admitted. I am terrified. But fear is useful if you do not let it control you. They flew in silence after that. Do-Yun tried to sleep, but could not. His mind kept showing him images of what might happen. Would the aliens be peaceful? Would they attack? Would they even be able to communicate? He had studied the old Accord languages as a child, but 300 years was a long time. Everything might have changed. When the alien ship finally appeared on their screens, Do-Jun felt his breath catch in his throat. It was massive, at least 10 times the size of the Silent Dawn. Its hull was covered in strange patterns that glowed with purple light. It moved through space slowly, scanning everything around it. They have not seen us yet, Yuna said. The stealth systems are holding. Good. Bring us closer. I want to see what we are dealing with. They approached from behind, staying in the ship's blind spot. Do-Hyun studied every detail he could see. The ship was old, he realized. The hull had patches and repairs. The glow of its engines was uneven, flickering sometimes. This was not a warship in its prime. This was a vessel that had seen hard times. I am going to let them detect us, Do-Yun said. But not the ship. Just me. Can you launch the emergency pod? Yuna frowned. You want to float in space and hope they pick you up? I want them to think I am a survivor. A desperate man in a tiny pod sending a distress signal. They will be curious. They will bring me aboard. And then I will learn everything I can. And if they decide to kill you instead? Do-Yun pulled a small device from his pocket. This is linked to the Silent Dawn's weapons. If I press it, you fire everything we have. The ship is damaged already. We can destroy it if we need to. Yuna took the device and looked at it for a long moment. I do not like this plan. Neither do I, but it is the best one we have. 20 minutes later, Do-Yun floated in a tiny pod, watching the Silent Dawn disappear into the darkness. The pod was old and simple, the kind that humans had used before the Accord days. It looked like exactly what he wanted it to look like, a relic from a dead world. He activated the distress beacon and waited. The aliens found him within an hour. A beam of light surrounded his pod and pulled it toward the massive ship. Do-Yun closed his eyes and controlled his breathing. When the pod doors opened, he made himself look weak and afraid. The creatures that greeted him were tall and covered in scales that shifted colors as they moved. They had 4 arms and eyes that seemed to look in multiple directions at once. They wore armor and carried weapons, but they did not point them at him. One of them spoke in a language that crackled and hissed. Do-Shin shook his head, pretending not to understand. Then the alien touched a device on its wrist, and suddenly the words became clear. You are human, the alien said. It was not a question. Yes, Do-Yun said. Please. I have been alone for so long. The aliens looked at each other. Do-Yun could not read their expressions, but he sensed surprise. They led him through the ship's corridors to a large room where a single alien sat on a raised platform. This one was bigger than the others, with darker scales and old scars on its arms. I am Commander Vika of the Valorian Dominion, the alien said. Our records say your species is extinct. Your world died 300 years ago. Do-Yun lowered his head, playing the role of a broken survivor. Many died, but some of us lived. We hid. We survived on what was left. How many of you remain? A few thousand, Do-Yun lied. The real number was 8 billion. We are scattered, weak, barely surviving. Commander Vika leaned forward. Tell me, human, how did you survive the plague? It was designed to kill every living thing on your world. Designed? Do-Yun kept his face blank, but inside his heart turned cold. The plague had not been natural. Someone had made it. Someone had tried to kill all of humanity on purpose. We hid underground, Do-Yun said. Some of us were immune. We do not know why. Veka made a sound that might have been laughter. Your species is strange. You refuse to die when you should. We are stubborn, Do-Yun said. The commander studied him for a long moment. Then it spoke again. The galaxy has changed, human. The accord that abandoned you is gone. It collapsed in war and betrayal. Now there are only factions fighting for power. My people, the Valorians, are losing a war against the Dominion of Thal. We need allies. I do not have armies, Do-Yun said. No, but you have something else. Proof that humans still exist. If I bring you to the Council at Meridian Prime, it will cause chaos. Every faction will want to know how your species survived. It will distract our enemies. Veka smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. You will be useful. Do-Yun nodded slowly, as if grateful. But inside, He was already planning. These aliens saw him as a tool, a curiosity, a piece to be used in their games. They had no idea what humanity had become. He sent a coded message through the tiny transmitter hidden in his tooth. It reached the silent dawn, and Yuna received it. The message was simple. They think we are weak. Let them. Yuna smiled in the darkness of her ship and followed at a safe distance as the Valorian vessel turned toward the heart of the galaxy. A game had begun. Meridian Prime was a station the size of a city, floating in the space between 3 dying stars. Ships came and went constantly, carrying traders, diplomats, refugees, and spies. Millions of beings from hundreds of species lived on its many levels. And now, one human walked among them. Dayan kept his head down as Commander Vika led him through the crowded corridors. Aliens of all shapes and sizes stopped to stare. Some pointed. Others whispered to each other. He heard the word human repeated again and again, always with surprise, sometimes with fear. You are famous already, Vika said. Word has spread that a living human was found. Everyone wants to see you. I am not a display, Dayan said quietly. Today you are whatever I need you to be. Veka placed a heavy hand on his shoulder. Remember, human, you are alive because I allow it. They entered a massive hall filled with representatives from different factions. Daoyun recognized none of the species, but he understood power when he saw it. Some aliens sat on high platforms, dressed in fine clothes, surrounded by guards. Others stood in corners, watching everything with careful eyes. This was a place where deals were made and lives were traded. Veka brought him to the center of the room and announced him like a prize. I present the last human. Proof that Earth survived. Proof that the old records were wrong. Silence fell over the hall. Then the questions began. Where had he come from? How many humans remained? What did they want? Do-hyun answered carefully, always staying in character. He was just a survivor. His people were weak and few. They wanted nothing but peace. But while he spoke, he watched. He memorized faces. He listened to conversations happening in corners. He began to understand the shape of this new galaxy. The Valorians were desperate. Fighting a war they were losing against the dominion of Fal. The Fal were brutal conquerors who took planets by force and enslaved the species they defeated. Other factions tried to stay neutral, but everyone knew the Fal would come for them eventually. And behind it all, Do-hyun sensed something else. There were aliens who watched him with hatred in their eyes. Not curiosity, not surprise, hatred. They knew something about Earth, something they did not want anyone else to discover. 3 days later, another human arrived at Meridian Prime. His name was Tai-ho, and he was 45 years old, a senior diplomat from the Remnant Assembly. He came pretending to be another survivor found on a different ship, brought by a different faction. No one suspected that he and Do-hyun knew each other. They met in secret in a tiny room that Tai-ho had rented in the station's lower levels. Yuna was there too, having docked the Silent Dawn in a hidden bay. The Assembly has been watching through your transmissions, Tai-ho said. You have done well, Do-hyun, but we have learned something troubling. He placed a small device on the table. It projected images into the air, old documents, star maps, and records written in the language of the Galactic Accord. Sora found these in the databases of the crashed ship, Tai-ho explained. They were encrypted, hidden deep in the system. It took her weeks to decode them. Do-hyun looked at the images. At first, he did not understand. Then the meaning became clear, and his blood ran cold. The plague was not natural, he said. No, Tai-ho confirmed. It was a weapon, created by a group within the old Accord. They called themselves the Keepers of Order. They believed that humanity was too dangerous to exist. Our species adapted too quickly, learned too fast, fought too hard. The keepers decided that Earth had to be destroyed before humans could spread beyond their planet. They tried to kill us all, Una said. Her voice was shaking with anger. 8 billion people. They murdered them like pests. They tried, Taiho said, but they failed. Humans have a biological gift that no other species shares. We adapt. Our immune systems learn to fight the plague. Many died, yes, but enough survived to rebuild. Dao-Yun stood up and walked to the small window. Outside, he could see the lights of Meridian Prime stretching in all directions. Millions of aliens living their lives, unaware of the crime that had been committed against his species. The keepers of order, he said. Do they still exist? Yes, Taiho answered. They changed their name. They hide in shadows. But they still hold power in many factions. And when they learn that humanity truly survived, they will try again. Then we cannot stay hidden any longer, Doyen said. If we wait, they will come for us when we are not ready. But if we reveal ourselves now, on our terms, we control the story. It is a risk, Taiho warned. We do not know how strong the keepers are. We do not know who our allies might be. Then we find out. Dao-Yun turned to face them. Una, send a message to Sora. Tell her to prepare Project Aurora. It is time for Earth to show its true face. Project Aurora was the fleet that humanity had built in secret over 2 centuries. 50 ships, hidden on the dark side of the moon, crewed by the best pilots Earth had trained. They were Earth's final answer to a hostile galaxy. Una nodded and left to send the message. Taiho looked at Do-Yun with serious eyes. If we do this, there is no going back. The galaxy will know that humans are not victims. They will see us as a threat. Good, Do-Yun said. Let them be afraid. For 300 years, we were the ones living in fear. Now it is their turn. That night, Do-Yun walked through Meridian Prime alone. He passed aliens who still looked at him like a curiosity, a relic, a ghost from a dead world. They had no idea what was coming. He found a quiet corner and looked up at the stars through the station's glass ceiling. Somewhere out there, his sister was preparing the fleet. Somewhere out there, the ships were waking up. The galaxy thought Earth was forgotten. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The attack came without warning. Do-Yun was walking through the market, level of Meridian Prime, when the first explosion shook the station. Alarms screamed. Lights flickered. All around him, aliens began to run and scream. Through the chaos, he saw ships through the windows, hundreds of them, painted black and silver. The Dominion of Thal had come to Meridian Prime. He pushed through the crowd, trying to reach the lower levels where Taiho and Una were waiting. But before he could get far, 3 figures stepped out of the shadows to block his path. They were aliens of different species, but they moved together, and they all carried weapons aimed at his heart. The human must die, one of them said. Its voice was cold, without emotion. The keepers of order demand it. So this was their plan, Do-Yun realized. The Thal attack was a distraction. In the chaos, the keepers would kill him and destroy any evidence that humanity had survived. They were cleaning up their old mistake. You tried to kill my species once, Do-Yun said. He stood straight, showing no fear. It did not work. This time will be different. The assassin fired, but Do-Yun was already moving. 300 years of survival had taught humanity many things, and combat was one of them. He had trained since he was a child, learning to fight in ways that no alien expected. He was faster than they thought possible. He was stronger than he looked. He dodged the first shot and closed the distance in a heartbeat. His hand found the assassin's throat and twisted. The alien fell. The second assassin tried to aim, but Do-yoon was already behind it, using its body as a shield. The third assassin hesitated, and that hesitation cost its life dot in less than 10 seconds. All three were dead. On the ground, Du-Hyan stood over them, breathing hard. Around him, other aliens had stopped to watch. They stared at him with wide eyes. This was not the weak survivor they had been told about. This was something else entirely. A camera drone floated nearby, broadcasting to the entire station. Do-yoon looked directly into it. "My name is Kang Do-yun," he said. His voice was steady and clear. "I am not the last human. I am not a survivor from a dead world. I am a soldier of Earth, and I carry a message for the galaxy." He pulled a small device from his pocket and activated it. The signal went out to every screen, every speaker, every communication system on Meridian Prime and beyond. 300 years ago, you tried to erase us. You created a plague and sent it to our world. You expected us to die. You forgot about us. But we did not die. We survived. We grew stronger. And now we are coming. Far away on the dark side of Earth's moon, 50 ships began to wake up. SORA stood in the command center of the lead vessel, the Sunrise. She watched the screens as her brother's message reached them. Her heart was pounding, but her hands were steady. "All ships, this is Kang Sora," she said into the communication system. "Project Aurora is now active. Launch sequence begins in 60 seconds. Our people need us. It is time to show the galaxy what humanity can do." The engines roared to life. One by one, the ships lifted from their hiding places and turned toward the stars. They flew in formation, sleek and powerful, painted in the colors of Earth. Each one carried weapons that the galaxy had never seen. Shields that bent energy in ways the Accord had never imagined. And crews who had trained their entire lives for this moment. Yuna was waiting in the silent dawn when the fleet arrived at the hidden warp point. She joined them as they entered the ancient route that the old Accord had forgotten. A path that should have taken weeks was crossed in hours. When the human fleet emerged into the space around Meridian Prime, every alarm on the station screamed at once. The Dominion of Thal had been winning the battle. Their ships surrounded the station, firing at the defenders, destroying any vessel that tried to escape. They thought victory was certain. Then 50 new ships appeared from nowhere. "What is that?" the Thal commander demanded. Where did they come from? No one had an answer. The human fleet did not wait to introduce themselves. They attacked. The first volley of weapons hit the Thal ships before they could raise shields. Human missiles moved faster than anything the galaxy had seen. Human cannons punched through armor like paper. Human pilots flew with a precision that seemed impossible. In the first 5 minutes, 20 Thal ships were destroyed. Yuna led the attack from the front, her voice calm over the communication channels. "All wings, stay in formation. Protect the station. Show them what we can do." The Valorian defenders, who had been moments from defeat, rallied behind the human fleet. Other ships joined them, seeing a chance to fight back against the Thal. What had been a massacre became a battle, and then the battle became a rout. The Dominion of Thal was not used to losing. Their commanders panicked. Their formations broke. One by one, their ships began to retreat, jumping to warp speed and fleeing into the darkness. In less than an hour, the battle was over. Do-yun stood on the observation deck of Meridian Prime, watching the human fleet take position around the station. Sora's face appeared on a screen beside him, smiling through tears. "We did it," she said. "Brother, we did it." "Not yet," Do-yun replied. "This was only the beginning. The keepers are still out there. The Thal will return. But today, the galaxy learned something important." "What is that?" Dajun looked at the fleet, at the ships carrying the hopes of 8 billion people. They learned that Earth remembers, and Earth does not forgive. A message came through from Commander Vika, who had survived the battle. The alien's voice was different now. There was respect in it. Maybe even fear. Human, Dayun, the council wishes to speak with you. They want to discuss an alliance. Do-Yun smiled. Just days ago, they had seen him as a curiosity, a tool to be used. Now they saw him as an equal. Tell them I will be there, he said, and tell them to prepare. Humanity has much to say. The galaxy changed in the weeks that followed the Battle of Meridian Prime. News of the human fleet spread to every corner of known space. Species that had never heard of Earth now whispered the name with wonder. Species that remembered the old stories now spoke them with new respect. And the keepers of order, who had hidden in shadows for 3 centuries, suddenly found those shadows growing very small. Taiho led the diplomatic efforts. He sat in meeting after meeting, negotiating with faction leaders, answering questions, building bridges. The work was slow and careful, but he was patient. He had spent his life preparing for moments like this. Earth does not seek revenge, he told the Council of Meridian Prime. We do not wish to conquer or destroy. We only ask for what was taken from us, a place among the stars, a chance to be part of the galactic community, and justice for those who tried to erase us. The Council was divided. Some wanted to welcome humanity. Others feared what Earth might become. But in the end, they could not deny the truth. Humans had survived the impossible. They had built a fleet in secret. They had defeated the dominion of Thal when no one else could. To reject them now would be foolish. An agreement was reached. Earth would be given a seat on the new coalition, a gathering of species who opposed the Thal and sought peace. Humanity would share some of its technology in exchange for resources and star maps. And the keepers of order would be hunted down and brought to justice. The hunt was already beginning. Across the galaxy, the keepers ran. They tried to hide in forgotten stations and remote planets. They tried to destroy evidence of their crimes. But humans were very good at finding things, and they had help. Many aliens had suffered under the keepers' manipulation over the centuries. Now those victims came forward with information, with locations, with names. One by one, the keepers were found. Some were killed resisting capture. Others were brought to trial before the coalition. The evidence was overwhelming. Documents, recordings, witnesses who had stayed silent for too long. The galaxy watched as the truth came out. The plague that had killed billions on Earth had been no accident. It had been murder on a scale that most species could not imagine. The trials lasted for months. When they ended, the keepers of order were no more. Their leaders were imprisoned or executed. Their followers scattered and renounced their beliefs. The shadow that had hung over Earth for 300 years was finally lifted. Sora stood on the observation deck of the Sunrise, watching the stars. She had not returned to Earth since the fleet launched. There was too much work to do. She had become the leader of humanity's first embassy on Meridian Prime, building connections with scientists and scholars from a dozen species. Yuna found her there, holding 2 cups of something warm. You should sleep, Yuna said, offering one of the cups. I will, soon. Sora took the cup and smiled. I keep thinking about our parents. They never lived to see this. They died believing we were alone. We carry them with us, Yuna said. Every human who died during the plague, every human who struggled during the dark years. They are part of this victory. Sora nodded. She looked at the ships floating outside, human and alien vessels working together for the first time. Do you think we can really build peace with them? I think we can try, Yuna said. That is all anyone can do. A month later, Bayoon returned to Earth. He stood on the cliffside where he had found the beacon, looking out at the valley below. The land was green and full of life. Cities rose in the distance, their lights shining against the evening sky. 8 billion people lived on this world, and now they could finally look up at the stars without fear. Sora landed beside him in a small shuttle. She stepped out and walked to stand at his side. Neither of them spoke for a long moment. They just watched the sun set together, the way they had done as children. "The Coalition wants to name a station after you," Sora said finally. "They want to call it Do-Yun's Light?" He laughed. "Tell them no. I am not a symbol. I am just a man who found a beacon in a crashed ship. You are more than that now, whether you like it or not." He knew she was right. His face had been broadcast across the galaxy. His words had sparked a revolution. He would never be just Kang Do-Yun again. He would always be the human who reminded the stars that Earth was not forgotten. "What about you?" he asked. "Are you happy with your embassy?" Sora smiled. "I am learning so much. Every day I discover something new. The universe is so much bigger than we ever imagined, Do-Yun. And now we get to explore it. And Yuna? She has been promoted to Admiral of the First Fleet. She did not want the title, but nobody else is qualified." Sora paused. "She asked about you. She wanted to know if you were coming back to space." Do-Yun considered the question. He had spent weeks among the stars, fighting battles, making speeches, shaping the future. But this valley, this land, this world, this was home. He was not ready to leave it forever. "Someday," he said, "but not yet. Earth still needs people to protect it, to remember where we came from." "That sounds like you," Sora said. She reached out and took his hand. "I am proud of you, brother. Our parents would be proud too. They would be proud of you," he said. "You are the one building the future." I just broke down a few doors. They stood together as the last light faded from the sky. Above them, stars began to appear, thousands of them, millions of them. Each one was a sun with worlds of its own. Each one was a place humanity might someday visit. Sora squeezed his hand. "What do we do now?" Do-Yun thought about the question. He thought about the centuries of silence, the years of hiding, the moment when everything changed. He thought about the keepers who had tried to erase humanity and the galaxy that had forgotten them. "Now," he said, "we make sure no one forgets again. We tell our story. We build. We grow. And when the next challenge comes, we face it together." Sora nodded. Together. They walked back to the shuttle as night fell over Earth. Behind them, the valley lay peaceful and quiet. Ahead of them, the universe waited. The forgotten world was forgotten no more. And humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning.